Hello, everyone. So, if you're attending today, that's probably because you need to manage different companies in a multi-environment, which means managing different reporting needs, different currencies, or just because you like creating financial report as I do. Hello, everyone. My name is Benoit. I'm digital advisor at Odoo. And today, I will have the pleasure to show you how Odoo can help you to manage your multi-company environment. Practical note first, you can scan this QR code to ask your questions that we will review at the end of these presentations. But before we start, I would like maybe to come back on what are the most important challenges when managing different companies. The first one is about using different software, which means disconnected tools, IT maintenance, and also a limited visibility. The second challenge is about the chart of accounts, because different chart of accounts, the need, the local versus group standards, and the need of mapping make the harmonization quite complex. And then, when you need to manage multi-currency, when you need to consolidate data, and you need to compare the performance between different companies, this makes the reporting process also complicated. So what could be the impacts of that? The first one is about delays in the closing period, because instead of focusing on closing the books, the finance team spend time exporting data from different software and repeating manual tasks. For sure, this creates a higher risk of reporting error since you need to manipulate your data. Also, you most of the time use data that's already outdated, and so you have a response time to market conditions that's quite low. And last but not least, this creates a lot of frustrations for finance teams, because instead of providing added values, they spend much more time just exporting data, fixing inconsistency, and repeating this manual task. So what about Odoo then? Using Odoo is using one single platform, centralized platform, where everything can be exchanged across companies. And this is really easy, and instantly as well. You can also have a look at the accounting from another companies, and you can also see the accounting books in your own chart of accounts thanks to an account mapping. And for sure, you can use real-time reporting. So today, the agenda will be the following. We will step into the shoes of a CFO managing an IT group operating in 3 different countries: Belgium, United States, and United Kingdom. And for that, for sure, we will need to manage different currencies. And together, we will review some reports as a group P&L reports. We will see how we can also use analytic insights. And we will create from scratch, together, a group billing report where the purpose of it will be to compare which company performed the best. And last, I will finish by a conclusion. So now let's go to the database then. As you can see there, I'm connected in the Belgium companies, but at the same time, I have activated 3 companies. So now what I would like to do is to open my P&L report to have an aggregate P&L with all the figures in one page. So for that, I just connect to the profit and loss. And as you can see there, the numbers are already displayed in euro. Even if I'm consolidating with a company from the United States and a company from the United Kingdom. So how Odoo is doing that, that's because Odoo uses for that specific report an average rate for the P&L. And this is something that you can configure if you want to on the settings of the P&L report itself. If you activate the debug mode, then you can easily access the options, and you will see that you can define how the currency translation will be used. In that case, it will be what we call CTA. Otherwise, the other option is the most recent rate at the date of the reports. So in our situation, it's a P&L with the average. So that's really convenient because you can have directly, without any modifications, a P&L in euro. As a CFO, what could be interesting for sure now is to compare which company is maybe the best directly from that P&L report. Right now, it's only one column, but I would like maybe to see each company next to each other. For that, you can use what we call a horizontal group in Odoo. So you can go to the configurations, where you can retrieve their horizontal group. And in this database, I have already created an horizontal group that I've called companies, that I've defined on my profit and loss mapping reports. And I specify which field will be used to display my data. And so there, I will filter my data based on the companies. So if I come back on my P&L, you will see that now, just by switching from the horizontal group there defined as known to companies, in one click, I can see my P&L split it by company. And that's really convenient to be able to compare which company is the best. Also there, something really interesting to show you is the account mapping. So for the moment, I'm the accountant located in Belgium. So I use the Belgium chart of accounts. So if I unfold the lines there, I will see all the numbers there display with my own code that I'm used to on a daily basis. Because, for example, there you see that it's the revenue in United States, but I see it with my own code that I'm using in Belgium. And this is possible thanks to the code mapping you define on the chart of accounts itself. For that, I will go to the chart of account and show you that, for example, when I'm connected to the US companies, if I filter on my income account and I take the account that's used there, which is the 400 usually, so when an accountant in the United States books an invoice, he's using this code. But as a Belgian guy, this code doesn't mean an income for me, an income but a receivable. So that's why I can just say to Odoo that when I'm connected to the Belgium solution, so the Belgium company, I would see the numbers as 700. So if I come back on the profit and loss, you could also see that if I switch back to the Belgium company as well, it could be much more convenient to see only one line, right? Because that's already cool feature because I see different lines, but it could be a bit better. We could maybe merge that in one single line. And this is possible now in Odoo 19 because we can group by what we call account code and not account ID anymore. So in advance, I have copied the profit and loss for which I have updated the formula. So I will show you that now, if I switch to my profit and loss mapping report, which is exactly the profit and loss report, for which I have just updated the formula, so now I only see one line. It's much more convenient. And so how to proceed that? It's quite simple. If you activate the settings of your profit and loss, instead of grouping by account ID, it's simple, you group by account code. And so in one click there, I will have the possibility to see my profit and loss with my own chart of accounts, and everything has been merged. Probably that as CFO as well, what could be really convenient is to remove all the intercompany transactions like in one click. And if you book all the bills and the customer invoices in different journals, then it will be possible to remove them thanks to a multi-ledger feature. Let me show you then. When you go to the configuration and you take multi-ledger, you see that there I have created one without intercompany. And I specified that when I will use that journal, I won't like to remove all the journals that contains ICO for intercompany. And I create as well a one that's blank there, so that all the time, as it's top position, it will be used by default then. So if I go back there, you see that we are in Belgium companies, and I would like to just remove my intercompany transactions. And here it is. You see that there the numbers are updated. Then, when you have that kind of report, I would like to highlight that it's always possible to drill down on figures. You see that there I have something for training costs, but only in Belgium. That's surprising, right? Why only in Belgium? You can just in one click open the account move lines. And you see there, you have analytic distributions. I take this opportunity to mention the new feature that has been introduced in Odoo 19 related to the mass edits. Because if you need to create a lot of analytic reports, this new feature is really convenient. Why? Because now when you update something there, you can define which analytic plan you would like to update. Assume that during the year, we have introduced a new analytic plan called employees, but we have already booked a lot of invoices during that year. So easily then, at the end of the year, let's say, I want to update only the employee to have a better analysis. So if you select update, let's say that all of these bills are related to Amy. If you click there, you see that no, I will update Amy everywhere, but I keep the existing analytic plan already set up there. Otherwise, in previous version, FP&A would have been added everywhere. So that's really a cool feature. Also about analytic, because it's a recurring request, it's to display a P&L report with analytic dimension. In Odoo 19, we have improved the way we can group by plan and subplan. So for that, I will connect only to my company, which is BE Solutions. And in that company, we have created some plans as, for example, department for the analytic. And inside the department, we wanted to, let's say, divide it by subplan as 3 subplan where I can retrieve finance, marketing, and HR. And inside each subplan, the idea was to retrieve, let's say in finance, different teams. As for example, I have a team related to accounting, controlling, FP&A, legal, whatever. And now, the idea would be to display your P&L report and see the cross dimension on that. To proceed, you can go to the analytic items, and there you switch to the pivot view there. And easily, you can display your P&L by just displaying the financial accounts. So you see that now I will see the P&L there. That's related to the analytic. And I will, at the same time, first add the top parent. That will be, in that case, department. I will do something more first. It will be easier for us. I will first add the quarter. And once I'm inside the quarter, I would like maybe to see the department like this. So we see that now I have finance, marketing, HR, and so on. And now I would like for sure to see and deep dive inside each department and to see per teams. So that's why, easily, I can just add again my subplan. And now I see all my teams. So just in one click, I can expand everything, and now I have my P&L situation with all my analytic dimension, quite easily. So now that you have seen that, I would like to also show you that it's possible to create your own reporting quite easily. And for that, I would like to create with you, from scratch, a new report that will be the billing report. And the idea of this report will be to compare easily which company perform the best. But as you know, we are managing Euro, USD, and GBP. So that's why we need for sure to have a report that will be in the same currency. And for that, we will use the Belgium company as a reference with the Euro as main currency. So for that, we will start from the invoice analysis reports. So if you go to the reporting, you can there access the invoice analysis. And I will switch to a pivot view. And if you see there, I can just easily show all my companies, and I see the billing per month if I display per month. But there, what you have on the screen as figures are displayed in euro, because connected in euro. And the rate that Odoo is using to display that data is the rate of today. If it's set, or if it's not available, it will be the closest previous rate available in the database. But in my use case, I know that I'm working on a daily basis for my currency exchange rate. So that means that the rate we see there are the rate of today. And that will be really important to that information to create the reports. So know what will be the purpose of that report we will create together from scratch. There, I have the numbers in euro, but at the date of today. What will be much more convenient is to retrieve the amount, but based on the average per month. So to have the amount depending the average rate for January, February, and so on. So what will be the process there? We will need to first take that figures and retrieve the original amount in foreign currency, and on that amount, we will apply the average rate. And we will do everything there based on Odoo spreadsheets. In order to simplify the report, I will just take another row, and that will be not the company directly, but the company currency. I will explain you how after we will display the company name, but to simplify this spreadsheet, let's go that way. So I will insert that in my spreadsheet, and here we go. First thing, as mentioned, what I would like to do now is to retrieve the original amount, right? So for that, I can create a measure myself. So if you go on your pivot there, you will have the possibility to add a measure that will be a calculated measure. This measure, I will call it conversion. And what will be conversion? Conversion should be the figures I see there on the report that I would need to multiply by the rate of today, right? From euro to USD or from euro to GBP. You see in a range, I have some value that I can use there, so it's quite dynamic. Price subtotals there, in fact, is the numbers. Company currency is the row, and invoice date month is the column. So thanks to this parameter, I can easily create my own measure. So it will be Y, the price subtotal that I will multiply by the currency of today. In Odoo, I could go to the currency and retrieve what was the rate, but it's not needed because we have an Odoo formula for that that's called odoo.currencyRates. Odoo currency rate asks me 3 parameters. What's the currency I'm coming from? Euro. To which currency I would like to convert? It's the row in my table. Company ID, currency ID, and at which date? I just specify today. That's it. So now when you create a new measure, you need to create what we call a dynamic pivot table. You have the blue message mentioning that. So how to proceed? You create a new sheet there, and you will use the formula pivot 1. Why it's 1? Because that's the ID of my pivot table that you can see in the name. And when you do that, you see that automatically Odoo retrieves the conversion amount. So far, so good. Euro stays euro for sure. But for example, in USD, in the original report, it was around 82,000 euros. And now I know that, in fact, it was $91,000. So that's cool. I retrieved the original amount in foreign currency. So now what will be the next thing to do? We need to retrieve what was the average rate per month. I can go to the currency table, extract, make myself an average, but it's not needed because from the spreadsheet itself, you can insert an Odoo pivot table. What are we looking for? To the rates. So I'm retrieve the currency rates, and then I will display on the row that it's the currency I want to see. Per dates should be months and years, and the measure should be the technical rate, and it's an average. So you see that directly, and that's really convenient and powerful, you can insert directly spreadsheet pivot table there from an Odoo spreadsheet and access all the data inside Odoo. And because I'm connected in Belgium, I will only focus on the rates in the companies Belgium. Here it is. Technical note there, when you have that kind of things, you can just copy the cell that you see in what you see there in the pivot and paste it outside of the box. Why? Because when you do that, you will understand how Odoo computed that figures. And you see that there, Odoo is using what we call a pivot value from the pivot ID, which is number 2. We use an average, and the currency ID was the 143, and it was for the month of January. So you see that based on that, you can understand how Odoo get the data. And I copy that also and to explain you, but also because I will use that information for my second measures. Because now that you have this, what's the last point to do? We have the original amount in USD and in GBP. And now we should divide it by the average that we get just in 1 second ago. So what to do then? I will go back on my pivot properties there, and I will simply add again a new measure that will be my conversion, but with average. And what will be the amount I should retrieve? If the currency is euro, it doesn't need to do anything, right? So let's type if, then it's euro. If the company currency is in euro, then I don't do anything, so I can just keep conversion. Otherwise, if it's USD or GBP, in that case, I should use the conversion that I will divide it by the average rate. And the average rate, we have seen that it was computed thanks to a pivot value, right? And now you see that on the screen, the currency ID there, Odoo is expecting a number, 143. Unfortunately, I don't have that value in my original pivot because it's text field. Thanks to Odoo 19 now, it's possible easily to add new measure from there and access all the fields that you need, all the rows, sorry, that you need. And you see that there, I was accessing the company currency, and I can take easily the ID. So now, instead of looking for the currency ID and giving a number, I can use directly the company currency ID. So you see that I can use the parameters I want. And that's really nice because before, if we had to do that use case in previous version, I should have used VLOOKUP, and VLOOKUP function with different tables that to connect data everywhere. And now you see that it's really simple because I can use directly the parameters that I can add myself in one click. And the last thing, for sure, you see that there in my example, I was focusing there only on the date of January when I paste it, but what we are looking for is the months in my table, right? So it's invoice date months. And now, if I go back on my sheet that we have created together, if I put it back, pivot 1, you see that now I have my conversion in average. And so, for example, what I can do there, I will sort my invoice date per month, let's say, and you can have a look, let's say, to the USD there. You see that, for example, in USD in September, the amount in euro was that amount. I convert it to this new conversion measure in USD, and I put it back in euro, but with the average rate available for the month of September. So now you see that when you have that kind of table, it's not needed to see all the measures that you have created together. It was just raw data to be able to compute different values. So I can easily, after, just remove what is not necessary by adding. And if after you would like to add the company and not display per currency, it's quite simple. You also add a new row, and you add the company as a new row, and you drag and drop, and after, you see that you can unfold, and you will get the different companies instead. So what we can conclude from that is that, for example, in September, US is performing the best compared to the others. And we are sure that now, when we have a look at that billing report, we are comparing the performance in euro. So that's what's required to be able to say which one is the best, because managing different currencies. But also there, we are using the average rate per month and not the date of today that was used by Odoo. So now that we have done it, I suggest that I come back to the conclusion in my slides there, because we have seen that indeed managing multiple companies brings complexity, different reports, different currencies, different standards. But Odoo addresses all of these challenges. And Odoo provides what the finance team need the most, which is a possibility first to unify the processes in one single platform, the possibility to control the performance, and then the possibility to take decision in real time. So that's the added value of Odoo. It's transforming simple reporting into a decision-making tool. Thank you.